So after not having any time to work on the IDEX for a week or so, I decided the next thing I wanted to tinker with was oozing and see if we can eliminate some of this oozing while the tool head's in standby. So I set up a camera to watch the nozzle and record what's happening. So there's nothing on the nozzle when it's coming off of the print and moving to the side, and you can see here slowly developing there's some ooze coming out, and what's causing this is the standby temperature is too high. It's high enough for the filament to melt. I am retracting at 16 millimeter when the tool head's done printing, so it should be sucking it back up out of the melt zone, but some is still making it down there. There's residual filament left in there, and the hot end is still hot enough to liquefy it. So that's one thing we're going to adjust, but I'm going to let the print go for now because I want to assess how well a draft shield works to catch these blobs. So you can see the ooze shield isn't, or the draft shield isn't doing very well. It's because ABS doesn't stick to hips very well, and when it tries to stack up a single line width, the ABS isn't sticking to the hips. It also looks like it's shrinking in the back. I'm not sure what kind of draft. There shouldn't be any air movement inside. It must be what's the hot end cooling fan causing that. And the draft shield seems to have caught a lot of blobs on the sides. That's the seam there in the front corner. So the part doesn't look too bad. So not the best looking, but not bad. We're getting there. A few little blobs here and there that got through. So next round, standby temperature is turned down to 170. The way the lights on these tool heads are set up, it's going to turn white when it's its turn to go into action. So you'll see the bed drop down for the Z-hop, and then the light will turn white. And there was nothing on there until it was called into action. So what that is instead of the retract, that's the prime. So it retracts when it's parked, and then it's primed when it goes back into action. So we'll see what we can do with that. Got to look fast. So, you know, nozzle looks pretty clean. You see it's getting ready. Light will turn white. Boop. You can see just a little white dot appear on the tip of it. So for the nozzle switch priming, the only thing we can control is speed. We can't really control distance because it's going to come back the same amount it retracted. So here I've reduced that to 5 millimeters per second. I experimented going even slower and it didn't seem to make any difference, but 5 showed a decent amount of improvement. You couldn't see a blob there. There is a little blob, but it develops as the tool head it's on its way to the print, and it's pretty hard to spot. Here's another one. You can just spot it as the tool head crosses near the camera. Here it is slowed down. So tip is still clean. And right there you can see we're still getting a little blip. So I don't think we're going to be able to do anything to get rid of that last little dot of ooze, but it's not going to cause as many problems as the big ones that stay on the nozzle, turn brown, get hard, and then they stick to either the print or the prime tower and cause something to break loose. So all we've got are these tiny little dots, but we still are going to have the nozzle go across a wiper or go to a prime tower. They do just, you can scrape them off the side of a print with your fingernail, so I'm probably not going to bother with a prime tower for certain prints depending on what I intend to use them for. I apologize for the vertical video, just wasn't thinking. So print looks pretty good, see a couple dots on it, and we've got all our little blobs on the prime tower. They're not big enough to cause any trouble, and we don't need a big prime tower to purge. We just need something for these to stick to. The only reason the prime tower is this big in diameter is because if you make it too tall and skinny, it'll get knocked over. So if your bed were so wide that it didn't allow wipers, you could probably get by with a prime tower. There's also the option of adding a wiper to the back of the printer. So after thinking I had it dialed in, this prime tower decided to break loose. You can see a brown blob toward the top. The blob's on it a little bigger, and what caused that is Cura is not dropping the temperature all the way if the hot end is not going to be inactive for very long. So I'm still getting slightly more oozing from that than expected. All these strings up top are from the prime tower not being there. All that filament is stuff that should have been in the prime tower. You can see duct tape on the bottom. The brim was breaking loose. I caught that before I went to bed. Maybe I should have taped down the prime tower also. I only had the bed at 90 degrees because I'd been printing ASA, so maybe if that were hotter, everything would have stuck down better as well. But moving forward, I think it's not good to rely on the prime tower. So I'm going to devise something else to go in the back of the printer to purge, maybe something like Bamboo uses. And it wouldn't have to purge as much as a printer that's running different color filament through the same nozzle. We just need to prime enough to get rid of that little blob.